it like directing this one?
Uh,
Any favorite moments or anything like that?
um, let's see. I think it's a movie that's sort of. I'll just start by when I first heard that I was that my next movie was going to be a Wonder Woman movie. I had these ideas of kind of what does that mean, or what's the coming off of the live action movie. Think about what like Lauren Montgomery did with her Wonder Woman thing, which are these big isolated tales, and a lot of it has to do with like the origin, right? In this case, this is an in continuity movie, with the James Tucker world kind of a thing, and so when I first read it, it wasn't quite exactly what as my fan brain was kind of expecting, but when I read it and I talked to James about it, I think he wanted this movie to be a jumping off point, where it's more like an introduction of like Wonder Woman, because this movie is almost like a movie that takes place between movies in the past. He wanted to set up his Wonder Woman in this world because the thing that he had mentioned was that how like with Batman and Superman, right? You all know, when it's Clark Kent, he has his group of people that are around him, right? When it's Superman, he has his people around him. When it's Batman, these are his people, the Robins and all the Catwomans and all these mythology people. But then even Bruce Wayne, the Alfreds and the business side of the things. But Wonder Woman kind of doesn't have that, right? Because Steve Trevor maybe that everybody knows of, but beyond that, like there's not a lot. Even people that some people may know, like Etta Candy, like not everybody knows them. But even the Wonder Woman villains, not everybody is familiar with them, outside of Cheetah maybe, right?
Yeah.
And so I think James wanted to tell a story that sort of brought in a lot of these more elements of her mythology as a superhero character together. And so on one hand, it's an introduction point of Wonder Woman and all the people, a lot of the bigger players in her mythology, I suppose, which hopefully will lead to other stories of hers, like singular type of stories, but it's more of a sort of a setup thing of like, okay, they're the players in her life, in her world, and you get to know them a little bit more, right? But so the story itself is, I feel like, is smaller, even though parts of it are really epic, I think. If I had to break this story down, I think it's a story of like mothers and daughters, right? It's more of an emotional kind of thing about, because everybody knows how like Wonder Woman going against Hippolyta's, right, left Themyscira she chose to basically go to man's world and, deal with man's sort of like battles and stuff like that, right? So this story kind of deals with a little bit more of kind of that happening, but she has this big fight with her mother, and her sort of kind of every once in a while feeling guilty about like, leaving and kind of stuff, and that I'm not going to be accepted in it. So it's a thing where there's another character in it, the Silver Swan character, which is going through a totally different thing, but it's a thing with her and her mother, and Wonder Woman sort of being her mentor and feeling a little bit of an obligation that I need to sort of help guide this girl. And she goes in this total wrong direction where she becomes a villain, and there's a lot of guilt of a lot of things. Like for her, it's like this, I don't want to spoil it too much, but then there's an event that happens, where the direction of this girl kind of goes, and her whole thing with her mother, because it all leads back to Themyscira, and she has to go back and see her mother. And so there's a lot of things about, I think, being, and in this case, a woman, and going against your family, kind of, but having to sort of things that you are trying to impart, but then hoping that you did the right thing, I suppose. So it's the thing of like, I think, the male version obviously is the fathers and sons, but I think it's a daughters and mother kind of thing. The expectations of your family, your mother, and then trying to find your own voice and be what you want to do. And hopefully finding, being able to prove it to people that I made the right choice, or that, that kind of a thing. So I think it's the heart of it.
any inspiration from your live action film and specifically Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman?
I mean, there's influences, obviously. There's parts of her outfit, that she sort of starts with, and that shows up in her, thing. There's definitely influences to it, but I think that's kind of, you know what I mean. Like, I don't think we took any parts from the story or any of
for
that
sure.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
But definitely there's the
Point
influence.
of reference.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there's any type of added pressure working with a character like Black Wonder Woman? A character who's been told by so many people and loved by a lot.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think it's a lot of it has to do, I think, quite honestly, has to do with the climate of kind of where it is, which I think is great. But that there's more of like a gender or a racial, like awareness. But I think it's difficult now, though. I think because I've had friends or what do you call it, like people that I work with, that have the best intentions, and then you try something, but you might miss something or you misstep, and then you get crucified for kind of what you're trying to do something else, but you get blamed for the thing that you're trying to do because you either didn't. I mean, and I'm not saying that's wrong either, because I think that if you're going to say something, you need to say it correctly. So, anyways, I guess I gotta go.
Thanks for talking.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks.